Okay, welcome to the next immune system revision video. So now we're moving on from helper T cells in the last video to cytotoxic T cells. So remember, both helper T cells and cytotoxic T cells are the cells involved in cellular immunity. So we're sticking with cellular immunity here. So as we talked about in the last video, helper T cells binding to the antigen on antigen-presenting cells produces clones of helper T cells. One of the things they do is they activate cytotoxic T cells. So what type of cell do cytotoxic T cells bind to? So again, remember there are cytotoxic T cells in the blood. There'll be about 10 million. They'll all have different receptors. And they are there from birth, ready to bind to an antigen if it ever gets into the body. The cells cytotoxic T cells bind to are body cells. So any cell other than a phagocyte. So they don't bind to phagocytes, they bind to body cells. So I'm drawing a body cell here. It could be any body cell given a nucleus. And that body cell, let's say, has been infected with a pathogen. So it's got some antigens on the surface. That body cell will process that the pathogen, and it will present some of the antigen on its surface. So that cell is probably being damaged by that pathogen, but some of those body cells, let's make sure we remember that. This is a body cell, not a phagocyte. It's a body cell. It's the answer to question 1. And the cytotoxic T cell will bind via that receptor that fits exactly. So let's draw a cytotoxic T cell. Let's give it a nice pink color. So it will be in the blood. The one that has a receptor specific for the antigen will bind. Give it a nucleus, and then the receptor. Maybe shaped like that, and it will bind. Then that binding causes a cytotoxic T cell to do something. Question 2, what does it do when it binds? Well, your answer should be, let's just move this to the side here. We'll stick with this diagram. And let's go for a different color. Cytotoxic T cells have this specific type of protein. They will have made it in their endoplasmic reticulum, remember. It will have been processed in the Golgi and transported out in Golgi vesicles and released. And it is released out of the cell. And obviously then there's going to be a high concentration around that body cell. It inserts itself into the membrane of that body cell. That protein is called perforin. That's what's released. They insert into the membrane, and what that does, it means that the cell can no longer regulate ions and water moving in and out. Water and ions can just move in, and that causes the cell to swell. That causes the cell to swell and for it to burst. And what eventually happens is cell lysis. So that cell will burst and be destroyed. And that is a way that cytotoxic T cells can destroy body cells that are infected with pathogen. And by destroying those cells, they help destroy the pathogen. Why do cytotoxic T cells mainly help fight viral infections? Well, you should have answered that viral infections viruses need to infect cells in order to replicate. They cannot replicate outside of cells, so they need cells. So if cytotoxic T cells destroy the cells, viruses have nowhere to replicate. And if they have nowhere to replicate, they can't cause disease. So that is the answer to 3. Okay, so that's cytotoxic T cells. I'm just going to write a reminder. Cellular immunity is basically T cells. So I'm referring to cellular immunity. If you're asked about cellular immunity, you need to be talking about T cells. So you need to be talking about helper T cells and cytotoxic T cells, remember. Okay, we'll stop there. Next video, we will move on to humoral immunity and we'll talk about B cells.